evening, I'm Amirul Aiman and welcome to Agenda AWANI. Gaza's humanitarian crisis worsening with reports of famine, devastated hospitals and aid flows repeatedly blocked. At the same time, solidarity works across Asia are mobilizing from Sri Lanka to Malaysia's Sumud Nusantara, trying to keep Gaza at the forefront of global conscience. To unpack both the humanitarian realities and Asia's response as well, I'm joined today by Mr. Amin Izzadin, International Editor at the Sunday Times in Colombo, and Muhammad Rafiq, Coordinator of the Asian Alliance of Palestinian Rights. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Let me begin with you, Mr. Rafiq. From your networks on the ground, how would you describe the situation or humanitarian situation right now in Gaza today? What's the single most urgent bottleneck that needs to be addressed?
Yeah, thank you very much. In fact, the catastrophe what we have seen on the ground is very distressed, and you don't need extra explanation for what is happening day by day. We can see what is happening to the journalists yesterday. The journalists covering on the catastrophe and the problem and the situation are being targeted. So that is the human life loss. Apart from the human life loss, we can see the famine. The now UN has declared the famine in Gaza officially. So these type of the atrocities happening on our own eyes every day. The children are being targeted, hospitals are being targeted, and women, and moreover the people who gather at the aid centers are being targeted. So what else, where will they go? So these are very much, it's an agony for the whole humanity. So we have to stop in all the forms. It may be diplomacy, it may be advocacy, it may be in any form. We have to stop. For that, all the world is united, from Europe, from America, from Australia, and now we want to make it a big voice from Asia, how we can, as Asians, from the Asian countries, how we can form a unified voice against this atrocity, to deliver the aids basically, and simultaneously stop this atrocity by the Zionist or regime.
You've mentioned human lives lost, targeted hospital, and also you call for Asian countries to act together. Yeah. So if you had a direct line to the policymakers today, so what's the one action you would demand immediately for them to do to save lives?
Yeah, correct. You see, the voice must be from the top level, from diplomatic and policymakers level, and we have to influence, organize, coordinate and collaborate all the policymakers to come in a strong unified voice, basically from the leaders of the nations in the Asian countries, right across from all these countries, and unified voice. We have so many examples. We have ASEAN, we have SAARC, we have other forums also. So make it as a country, on the ground people are unified. We can see people are unified, they are making so many efforts on the people level. But in the state level, we have to make it a common voice, it's a collective voice. When you make a collective voice, in the state level, it will give very much impress and the forces to stop this atrocity in one way or the another.
Mr. Amin, Mr. Rafiq has mentioned that on the ground level people are unified, but the state level, maybe they can do a little bit more to ensure that this would not turn into more worse catastrophic in Gaza. From your vantage point as a journalist, how do you assess the international community's response so far? Has it been decisive or fragmented or mostly performative?
It is performative and we are disappointed. I mean, it's from the Arab world, from the OIC, and the Western countries which preach human rights to third world countries like Sri Lanka and maybe other countries like people still, we have been preached upon by the Western countries about our human rights, and Sri Lanka has been taken before the United Nations Human Rights Council for alleged war crimes. But when we see the Western countries are complicit in the Gaza massacre, in the Gaza genocide, what else we can say? The maximum they issue condemnations, but they haven't taken any effective, meaningful measures so far. 22 months have passed. It's a very serious crime in front of, it's a live streamed genocide. So we need to stop this. So as human beings, it's not a country, it's a humanitarian problem, it's a humanitarian crisis, and Gaza is expendable. Is it what that you are just allowing that to happen? But if the same thing had happened or had been happening to a European country, would your response be the same? So these are the questions the Western countries that, those are the countries that can make a difference, that can really make a difference. They can stop the Israel's action by imposing sanctions, by stopping their the arms supplies, by stopping sharing intelligence. They can make a difference, which they haven't so far done. Condemnations alone won't stop this. They are just, it's time for action now. I think they have to take some action. So I'm not happy with the international response to to address this crisis.
Mr. Amin, rightly so, you mentioned that it's mostly performative. I'd like to bring back to this issue where quite recently there has been several Westernist countries that are mostly former allies of Israel has been starting to recognize Palestine as a state. How do you read into this situation, into the action? Is it, some say it's more of like hand washing of the situation? How do you read into this situation?
Yes, there is some pressure is building up on the one hand, like say countries like Australia. Yes, the ground level, the groundswell is visible. In France, yes, there is a socialist vote bloc in France. So this in United Kingdom, yes, there is the ground level opposition is growing. So the government has to, on the one hand, government has to respond to that. And the second thing is, they just want to, this gives them a fig leaf to cover their shame. They have done so much harm to the Palestinian people. They have been virtually complicit in by not taking action, by their silence, by their support, the immoral support to Israel, the financial assistance, arms supplies to Israel. They have become part and parcel of this genocide, and they are complicit. So in order to absolve themselves at least by a little bit, that's what this is. But why can't they do immediately? Why they have to wait till the UN sessions in September? So from the time they announced their decision to recognize Israel and the September sessions, there are quite more than a month gap. During this 1 month gap daily in Gaza, scores of people, more than 20, 30, 40, sometimes hundreds are killed daily. At the food, as my friend Rafik said, at food centers, they are being gunned, children are being gunned down. The story of the little Amir, you would have heard that. He walked 12 kilometers from his camp to get some food, and while getting that food, he kept, when there was an American Marine, and he gave, and the boy didn't get much food, he got some remnants, but still he was very thankful to that American soldier. He took his hand and kissed him, and then he said bye, and while he was going, the American Marine heard gunfire, and when he came back to see, he had been gunned down by an Israeli soldier. And it was then he himself, this American Marine who worked at the so-called the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation Aid Center, he confessed to what he saw, and that's really a touching thing. This boy couldn't take food to his family or his brother or sister, younger sister. It's a very tragic.
And so while aid struggles to get through, another battlefield is in the headline themselves, how Gaza is reported. Before, I would like to go to Mr. Rafiq on how aid is being provided to the Gazans, but I would like to ask Mr. Amin first. Do you see systematic bias in Western media coverage of Gaza?
Certainly. It is totally biased. BBC has been, they have a set of, they call it Gaza war. What is this war? War means there needs two people of equal military strength. Where is that war? This is not a war. On the one hand, you have the world's one of the most powerful military, Israel. I think it's either 8th or between the first 20, the powerful military. And what we are talking about, Hamas and the Palestinian resistance, they are barely armed. And this, you call this a war? No, this is not even a conflict. This is total massacre. So the Western media, as the question I'm coming to, the Western media use certain sets of words, calling it a conflict. There's calling it a terrorism problem. It's not a terrorism problem. Resistance is not terrorism. The one who calls resistance a terrorist is a bigger terrorist. So resistance is recognized by the additional protocol of the Geneva Conventions of 1949. Numerous United Nations human rights, the United Nations General Assembly resolutions. Armed struggle has been resistance by the occupied people. The occupation is totally illegal. If your country is occupied by a foreign country, you have the right to take up arms and whatever measures that it is necessary to repel, to end that occupation. Occupation is totally illegal. So this is what the Western media do not understand the core of the problem. They think the problem started on October 7, 2023. It did not, the Palestinian problem, the crisis did not start in a vacuum. There's a long history and the long crisis. I mean, prior to that October 7, 2023, that particular year, nearly about 3,000 people have been killed. The previous year, 2022, was the United Nations, called it the most disastrous year of the Palestinian people, because thousands have been killed, including children. And things are happening not only in Gaza and the West Bank also. People are being killed, their houses are being bulldozed, settlers are occupying the Arab Palestinian land. These are not properly shown, and there is history. I mean, if the Western media could today change their narrative and get rid of their bias and they do objective journalism, certainly there will be bigger change, and the the crisis can end within no time.
And Mr. Amin, you rightly mentioned that there has been bias, especially from the Westerners. Mr. Rafiq, on your side, solidarity movements often work around these dominant narratives. Do you find it harder to mobilize your aid and all that when mainstream coverage feels a bit tilted or incomplete?
Exactly, yeah. So basically, the mainstream media, what Mr. Amin said is we can say it is their norm. But thanks to the social media and thanks to the followers and all the social media activists, they have built up the narratives. They really convey the message to every corner of the world, every heart of the people. So on the ground, people are very much educated, not believing the mainstream media. They build up the sense. That is what the results of what is all this the people coming out on the street. Every day we see, and even the Asian countries, we see the last couple of weeks and a couple of months, the people are coming every day, they are posting, and we can see this flooded with all this because this narrative, the people no longer believe in the mainstream medias. They do not, never, but they build each and every one. They have taken, they are all on the mobile, they build up their own media, they circulate it, and it goes viral to every single message. For an example, what is happening in the food center, they take it and pick it up and giving and sensitize, because it is the humanitarian issue, not a war that we are watching in a film. It's a daylight killing, and it goes to you can see the people, small children, watching a mobile phone at his home while eating, and he said at the same time what is happening in Gaza. So we don't see that is in the mainstream media. So we have to counter narrative. Is the best thing is our own media. We have to take our own media. Own medias we have, everybody have. We have in our pocket, in our school, and every boil. So what is happening on the ground, it should be go to each and every part of the world, each and every single person. By that, then now the world is realized. World has realized that. That's why all these people are believing. They don't believe. So by that, the humanitarian issue, the double standard of the world, why world is inept in acting, why the leaders are just talking about, while the people are taking the issue to their own hand, they are not listening to their leaders, and they are taking or coming onto this side because they see the what is really happening on their own naked eyes. So I think this is the best way to mobilizing the people, telling the truth without any discrimination, without any censorship, real time what is happening on the ground. You see, mainstream media, I don't know whether the mainstream has shown that the killing of the 5 Al Jazeera, but it went viral immediately on the people's, everybody's laptop and down and everything. So this is how we have to say and say the truth, say what is happening. That way, inshallah, we can change the perception of this is, we don't understand what kind of war is. Is it for war for something else? Is it for removing somebody else? Or is it for giving food and blocking the food? So this is we don't know, we cannot categorize in the vocabulary of what kind of war. Is this for land? Is this for blocking the food? Is this for killing, unnecessarily killing the journalist? Because of the journalists reporting their truth, they want to silence the voice of the journalist. So what kind of war it is? So this message must be brought across the people, irrespective of age and categories. So thank you.
Mr. Rafiq, Mr. Rafiq has mentioned that the attacks on journalists has also have an effect on the narratives and how aid has been distributed to the Gaza people. And I want to bring you to the attacks in Gaza that have killed journalists, media workers, hundreds of them, and including the recent strike on Nasser Hospital. As someone leading a newsroom, what does this say about the space left for independent reporting in conflict zones such as Gaza?
Well, I think this is where, I mean, killing journalists is against international law. Journalists are protected people. International law calls for the protection of journalists in the conflict zone. So this is, I mean, this is something that the additional protocol of the Geneva Convention also talks about, the protection of journalists especially in conflict situation. So this has been, I mean, Israelis are no respecter of international law. They don't respect human rights. It's a settler colonial apartheid ethno-supremacist state, and it believes in expansionism. That's what, you know, if you take from Israel, the map of the Palestinian region, Israel, I mean, you can see from 1947 what was Palestine before 1947 and in 1947 during the UN partition, and 1967, 73 and in 2000, and what we have now is just a Bantustan-like Palestine. So the two-state solution is also becoming totally impossible to achieve unless the international community steps in with good intention to bring about justice and peace to the region and to the entire world, and they intervene. Then we can keep some hope. But since the Western countries would not, I'm 100% sure, would not, you know, defy, you know, they have no strength to define because of the Israeli lobbyist very powerful influence in the United States, in the United Kingdom, and maybe other European countries like Germany, France and all. It's very unlikely the West will take a decision that will go against the interest of Israel. Israel's interest is expansionism. They want to set up the Eretz Israel or the Greater Israel, which expands from the Nile in Egypt, covered in Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Lebanon, Syria, and all the way up to parts of Iraq to the Euphrates. So that's the big Israel they were thinking about. Prime Minister Netanyahu, who is the international criminal court suspect, war crime suspect, he recently in an interview to an Israeli channel, he admitted, you know, my mission is a spiritual mission. So when we bring that spiritual thing, he thinks in terms of Eretz Israel, and it was very, I mean, it made even Saudi Arabia to issue a very strong condemnation about the statement, about his remark.
Gentlemen, I want to bring this conversation from the media lens to the grassroots level, where the story of solidarity is playing out across Asia. Mr. Rafiq, how has the Alliance for the Palestinian Rights mobilization support across the region? What kind of initiatives have proven the most effective for you?
Yeah, thank you. Basically, this now the mobilization is aids the convoys are streamlined. There in the border, there are hundreds of aid trucks are lined up. But the thing is, it is under siege. So we have to break the siege. That is why the Sumud comes to the scene saying that no more silent, no more siege. That is the main slogan of the Sumud, to break the siege. How can we break the siege? To build up the consensus of the people. For that, the Sumud has started the quite long time initiatives from this region, connecting people and mobilizing their voices, and they are awakening the public. So we did so many efforts. For that, the last July, the last week of the July, in Malaysia, we had a collective meeting from the representatives from Asian countries, from Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Nepal, Maldives, Malaysia. All these countries, people, the representative came, the volunteers and the organization representatives. So we made a consensus in this Asian region, we convey this message: no more silence, no more siege. That is the slogan we had, and that is the end of the last week of July, our initiative. And based on that, we conducted so many programs from Thailand, convoys coming from Thailand and the Philippines, and mass rallies. And we held in Sri Lanka, and simultaneously, August 15, Friday, simultaneously we conducted the mass rallies in Sri Lanka, Maldives, Nepal, Thailand, and other parts of the Asian countries. So that is a one unified voice against this one. Also collecting of everybody on the 24th of August, we gathered in Merdeka and the Malaysian capital Kuala Lumpur, under the patronage of Honorable Prime Minister of Malaysia, Dato Sri Anwar Ibrahim. It was a big rally. It was a big message to the world. In fact, that is the Asian unified voice. That is the Asian unified voice from this region, because we had more than a month. We had very effective mobilization of the grassroots level people. And in fact, people are ready to join this mission. They are willing already, irrespective of any divisions. We take religion, you may take color, you may take any division. They are unified for this cause, and people represented there on the 24th August, the mass rally in Merdeka. It was a very big rally, and I think in Asia it is the first of its kind rally. So it gives a message that Asians are, and Asians have a different age. Asians are different, and we have multicultural, multi-religious, multi-ethnic, different languages in there. But apart from that, we all are agreed to convey this message to the Israelis and the occupied forces that the Asia is no longer silent, and there will be no more silent, and we want to break the siege. For that initiative, and the flotilla convoys are being arranged, and the volunteers are going to this port of Spain and Tunisia to join this flotilla, and they will be make a march to Gaza. In what way possible to break this siege and any bomb nearly.
Mr. Rafiq, gentlemen, we have only 1 minute left, and I have a question to Mr. Rafiq. Sumud Nusantara brings together voices from Southeast Asia and to stand in solidarity with Palestine. From your perspective, how important are these cross-border grassroots initiatives in amplifying the Palestinian struggle, especially when governments often face geopolitical constraints?
Yeah, grassroots is our strength. When we mobilize the grassroots only, the perception and the leaders will listen. When the leaders, we want to say the leaders, the grassroots are ready and they are unified, they are organized, they make their voice in one voice in every part of the world, every part of these countries. So we want to make it a unified voice to listen to our leaders, because whatever the grassroots, whatever the people doing, it will create very little or some kind of impact only. But when it goes to when it goes to the leaders level, that will create the great impact. So we want to make it to the leaders in the region that people are unified. So you also become unified to this cause.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. We've talked about famine conditions, contested narratives and grassroots mobilization, and also diplomatic levels. At the heart of it, lives are still at stake, and the question is whether words can translate into real action. My thanks to Amin Izzadin and Mr. Muhammad Rafiq here with us. Gentlemen, appreciate for your insights. I'm Nur Aiman, and this has been Agenda Awani. Thank you very much and good night.